Oh my gosh, I made a book! Hi, James here again. I've done a bunch of different book reports on my channel, and I'm gonna do another one here with this video, but obviously it's a bit different and very special because it's the first book that I've ever had published, and I'm just super excited about it, and I hope you enjoy going through all 183 pages of joy with me to just give an overview of the book and talk about the whole process of creating it. Enjoy. So many books begin with acknowledgments or gratitude, and I wanted to do the same. And as you can see listed here, none of this would have been possible without my wife and partner and inspiration. But she even connected me with the publisher of this book, where she first published the first Turkish language enameling book, and also even helped me embrace the name of Thurmanite and move forward with using that as a label and name for the material. So you could see lots of other people over the years that have been a huge inspiration to the whole process, and through collaborations and partnerships and just friendships and everything else. So just wanted to take a few moments to emphasize how important your larger community is to your creations and your whole process and everything. So I'm going to speed things up a little bit, or else we're never going to get through this whole book. But I just want to use this video to have just a kind of an overview of the book, how it all came together, give you a sense of the design that was beautifully created by my sister-in-law, Fook. She has tremendous experience with laying out all sorts of different publications and exhibitions, in addition to her architectural history practice and teaching. And I just love how it all came together. I think it's just a beautiful creation that highlights the writing, my aside comments, the images, and all ties it together in just a beautiful and creative production. I do sort of start at the beginning with this early childhood drawing that I include in a lot of my artist talks, but I do sort of move forward quickly from that, but just give kind of a foundation of the reflection that I went through in the creation of the book, major early influences that shaped me as a maker and as an artist, and took me in the direction that I ended up going in. And maybe that's useful to you or to others in reflecting on how you might have become the creative person that you are today. Now, although I obviously didn't make Thurmanite until much later in my career, I did start with some early pieces through my education, both undergraduate and graduate, that relate in my own thinking to the evolution of my work, and that led me towards creating Thurmanite. And a lot of the work that I did for other artists, like with Boris Bally, and then studying at Cranbrook under Gary Griffin, and all of those kind of input and experiences from the summer workshop with John Jordan, kind of bringing wood and metal together into my work. And then an early collaboration with a colleague back at Penn State, Chuck Cave, and starting to play around with like books as a found material, and continuing to further question the potential and possibility with books. And that really single collaboration led directly into what would become Thurmanite. I thought of the creation of this book as kind of an extended artist talk, and it was really wonderful to dig through all of my archives and bring together pieces that more directly related or sort of less directly related, like this collaboration with friend and colleague back at Penn State, Ray Masters, with some early digital fabrication work. And just don't always get the chance to pour into that level of detail with an artist talk. But with the book, it was wonderful to just include every piece that I felt was sort of relevant to the evolution of Thurmanite, and to talk a little bit more, and to really just have a documentation, all of them between two covers. I'm well aware that there's a certain irony about the fact that Thurmanite is made often from recycled books, and then I'm producing a new book about that whole process, which I don't know. I kind of find that irony sort of a part of the whole process as well. And I'm kind of not going into the detail of a lot of these pieces because it's all documented within the book. And this video is just more of kind of a quick visual overview of the book and its layout and the content that's included. So this is an important sort of stage where at a workshop I was teaching at Hiko Mizuno College of Jewelry in Tokyo, we needed a name for the material, and this was the first time that sort of came up. And so we did a funny translation in Japanese, which I loved and I adopted for a while. But later it became kind of confusing to people where they thought I was just utilizing a traditional Japanese process since I was using Japanese words to describe it. And ultimately that became a discussion that I had with Amut about it, and she encouraged, well, I had invented this funny name Thurmanite for this fictive art installation I did, and encouraged me to just continue using that for my regular work, like out in the real world. And that was a real pivotal moment to where it became more of my own creation, and there was a lot less kind of confusion about all of that. So again, just huge gratitude and thanks to her for that inspiration and guidance. So at this point, I'm in kind of the current stage of my career at the University of North Texas. The development with Thurmanite has kind of stabilized to a process that I'm very comfortable with, and then incorporating it into my regular professional practice, collaborating with other colleagues like Dr. D'Souza about finding a plant-based resin that made more sense kind of conceptually to me in the creation of the materials, and just finding kind of stabilization with the material and finding my own way with it and its incorporation into my larger body of work. Collaboration has always been a key part of my creative process. Thurmanite wouldn't even exist without it. These are some shots of a collaborative group of friends from Turkey that we made a whole body of work together, often using Thurmanite in the pieces. And I just like to emphasize the importance of that, and that I know a lot of individual makers aren't as fond of that process, but I definitely find it essential to my ongoing creative development. And once you're out of school, sometimes fresh assignments come up with working with particular pieces. In this case, the recycled handguns from the Imagine project that Boris Bally led, and those continue to reinvigorate the creative process, as well as collaborations, in this case with my wife Amut on processes, since she's such an amazing enamelist, and that gives birth to whole new directions and whole new bodies of work as well. It's important to me that I continue to be pushing myself and never completely comfortable, but continuing to evolve a body of work that is cohesive yet growing. And so there's always inspirations that I might pull from collaborators or from my environment. And that gives birth to another sort of focus or chapter of the series of pieces. So obviously I will be continuing to make pieces after the publication of this book, but I did want to bring the book along to my current body of work, even though it's not solely Thurmanite, but just to show the potential of the material and how it ended up being seamlessly incorporated into my larger body of work that incorporates a wide variety of different processes and materials, everything from metal spinning to painted miniatures, oftentimes with wearables, sometimes with sculptural components, and wanted to kind of bring it as close as I could to some recent pieces that I'm very excited and proud of, and that continue to challenge and force the evolution of my creative problem solving. And in moving through this phase with more recent pieces of the past couple years, showing how it expanded out into a larger body of work, but kind of stabilized somewhat into a format of these suites of the Thurmanite, often being a lathe-turned stand or plate, along with jewelry components, along with spun metal vessels, just a variety of different processes and materials that I've come to enjoy through my life as a creative maker. I mentioned fictive art before with another project and a newer project that I'm getting into that you could certainly learn a little bit about through the book, and then more as it evolves through web presence and exhibitions. And these will all be components within that larger installation piece. But you can see my interests, my earlier interests in mythology coming to things, and then with the most recent piece from a past year here. And then I kind of move in with the book into a less chronological approach, but just dealing with a variety of different experiments that I went through along the way, since oftentimes, especially during workshops, a lot of people will ask me, well, could you do this? Could you do that? What about this? And so I wanted to share as much of that as possible, because lots of people that have experimented with Thurmanite and the processes have taken it in their own directions and done things with it that I might personally have not been interested in doing, but I love seeing the creativity of other individuals and where they might see potential within that. It's another reason that I wanted to create this book, to just have kind of a singular reference where I've put all of these different materials together that I've gathered over the decades of things that have worked out for me, things that I was interested in but maybe didn't finish, and then also just detailing some of the how-to that I might go through with particular kinds of workshops or demonstrations. And that way that anyone interested in the material or my larger body of work would be very well informed and could take things in their own direction. And I'm hoping that more people will be inspired through this book to play with Thurmanite and make their own amazing creations. And I would love to see what those are. So if you're one of those people, please don't be shy. Reach out with either like questions or ideas, or show me pieces that you've made yourself. And I decided to finish the book with some recent larger workshops during a Fulbright, and then also just talking about how the materials have been distributed out into the world with other people, or even other small companies, or through curatorial projects. And just it's been so inspiring to see all of the different things that people have pursued with Thurmanite that I never would have imagined without other creative folks getting involved in it. The Society of North American Goldsmiths was wonderfully gracious to let me reprint an article about Thurmanite and the Paper Alchemy curated exhibition. And this book, along with a lot of the materials, will be housed at the University of North Texas Special Collection. So they'll be archived for future generations to discover and explore. And so the conclusion of the book is really just reference materials, like I mentioned, that Metalsmith magazine article, and other handouts that I've used over the years through various workshops, just to make it easy and clear for people that might be wanting to explore it on their own. So I hope you've enjoyed this overview and book report on my very own book. And if you'd like to get yourself a copy, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be able to connect you with where it's available for sale. If you happen to be in the Denton, Texas area, it'll be available for sale at the Denton Maker Center. So I hope this has inspired you, and would love to hear your own thoughts about the book and the process and Thurmanite, and just feel free to reach out. Thanks. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can hear from me when I post future videos. Thanks for stopping by.